Well, hello everybody. It's a cold, brisky weather outside today, so we are doing another indoor DIY project. And today I'm in the bedroom and I am looking to install a ceiling fan light combination. If you remember, I did those lights. We may keep those lights, I may not keep those lights. I don't know yet. But we're going to put the fan up using those lights. And I'm going to be using the same electrical source in the closet for those lights. So what we first must do is this. Let me show you the light. Again, another great deal on Marketplace. I love me some Marketplace because you don't pay that 9.25% sales tax that Tennessee likes to charge. So it's a light. This lights up, the ring lights up, and the centerpiece lights up. And then it's a fan. It's remote control. It's got a whole bunch of different settings for the light if you want it dim or bright or a whole bunch. The fan has, I believe, 3 speeds. It has reverse. It has all kind of things that are ridiculous. But anyway, I've already started the install process. Oh, first, what did I pay for this? $60. This is a $200 light at Lowe's, and they still sell this model. So it's a great deal. It was formerly installed, and the previous owner decided they just didn't like it. I was like, good. So I've already kind of got it started. I got different collars on here already connected. You basically have 3 wires. You have a ground, you have a lead hot, and then you have a neutral. Pretty standard. And then you have the safety cable, I guess, in case the light drops down, it won't fall on you. No big deal there. It's really an easy install. Most of the work, I think, will be wiring the electric, because there's no electric on the ceiling. I'm not putting this in a place that has electric box on it. I'm putting it on a flat wooden wall. So what I have to do is I'll have to run wire, which I got some wire today. And I'm going to run it in what I call it indoor conduit. But really what it is, it's I forget what it's called, wire something or another. Anyway, it's the plastic. You can run the wire through here, and then you just push it down and it clips together, and it has 3M tape on the back, so you just peel and stick. Now, I don't know how well it's going to stick to this wooden roof, so if I have to run screws in it, I will, but we're going to try to run it without the screws. So this is one stick. Now what I did, these are, I think, 5 feet long, maybe 4 feet long. Maybe 5 feet long. I might need 1.5 of these sticks. I measured the room. I want to get in the middle of the room and the middle this way as well, and try to get it over the bed as much as possible. So I'm a little off center, about 1 foot, to move it over to the center of the bed. So what I do is I pre-painted this one. I just wanted to show you what they look like from the store. You get 4 of these for about $16 at Lowe's. I think that's kind of pricey. They're $4 a stick, but I mean, what are you going to do? This isn't the kind of thing you can find on Marketplace, because I tried. So sometimes you got to buy stuff. So I colored it brown. If you remember the ceiling light that we installed on Madame Mears Adventures site, I did the same kind of thing. It was metal conduit I had left over from another ceiling fan install. Actually, it was a ceiling fan pull down and reinstall in a different location. But I repurposed the conduit from that job. So this, I painted the brown. So when you look up, it's going to match the ceiling and it'll look nice. In fact, you shouldn't see it at all, really, unless you're really looking for it. So that should work out nice. So first thing we have to do is we have to hang the bracket. These are pretty common. The way this works, I'm just going to screw this straight up to the, I've already marked a spot up on the ceiling where I'm going to mount this. We're not going to run any wires through the ceiling. I'm going to run them along the ceiling over to the closet and probably through the wall, and then I'll have to junction them in. If you remember that female to male plug adapter I hardwired from the switch, I'm going to be tapping into that. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to do that. I may remove that plug and run them all to a Wago connector, but we'll see what happens. So first we have to install this. And the way this is just a little cradle. So once you, and this actually is pretty nice because once you install this, you don't have to hold this fan up there. All you do is you set it in the cradle like that, and it holds all the weight, you see? So they're kind of nice. They're easy to install. So I like these, pretty simple install. Shouldn't take very long. And I'm not going to film every step of the process. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing, and then I'll show you what I did, because I need 2 hands to work, because I'm on a ladder. So I'll be on the ladder doing this, and then we'll see what it looks like. Wish me luck. Okay, I mounted the bracket. Let me give you a look-see real quick. Got to get a flashlight because kind of in a dark spot. All right, can you kind of see it right there where I got the light? I'll walk up here and kind of show you what I did. All right, right here. All right, so here's the bracket, and I got 2 wood screws that I used. Probably see it better without the light. Let me see if I can't get a little light going up there. It's hard to hold both things. So this is solid wood flooring for the loft area. So I don't want a screw that's too long. About 1 inch long is about perfect. So that's what I did. I had to go out and find a couple screws, and it's mounted good. I should be able to swing from this thing, but I won't have to. This light really is very light, so it's not a big heavy light. So I'm just going to hang it in the cradle there, and then start figuring out how I'm going to do my wiring, and then run my conduit across over to this area, and then I have to decide whether I'm going to go through the wall right there or come over and down to the hole over here where there's already a hole. That's where I'd like to go, but I'll figure out how I'm going to do that when I get over there. Right now I'm just going to get the wiring, and let me talk to you a little bit about the wiring. Let me step down here real quick. So how do you determine what kind of wire to use? I'm glad you asked. Well, first you check your appliance to see what you're going to be plugging into it, and if you're going to be plugging in multiple items. A normal breaker in a house is 15 or 20 amp breakers. 20 amp is more of an industrial commercial size, but you can find them in your house as well. 20 amps is a good way to go, but I'm guessing that most of these, the wiring is for 15 or 20 amps. So I will be splicing into the house wiring, which will be a bigger gauge than what I'm going to be using. I got wiring sized for the appliance because I'm not going to be plugging anything into this fan except the fan. So this is a very low voltage fan. I think 70 watts is all it pulls. I don't know what the conversion is that to amps. I didn't look that up, but it ain't going to be much. So I went with the smaller sized wiring. I went with 14 gauge wire. So I got the 3 different colors. I got them color coded. Each of these is 25 feet, and these cost about $7 a piece in Lowe's, maybe a little less than $7. So I got my black for my hot, white for my neutral, green for my ground. Those are pretty standard colors. It's the same colors that you'll find on the back of the fan. So the color coding all matches. I like everything to match. And then I'll just connect them and then run them through the conduit, attach the conduit, and then I'll have to think and decide how I want to do this how I want to get it wired to the house wire. I haven't decided on that. I need to look at it again, kind of brainstorm and think about what it is that I already have, what can I use that I already have, and come up with a plan. So I'll figure that out when I get over there. First off, I just want to get this thing hung up and get it wired, and at least get it what I would call plumbed out or roughed out, the wiring, and all I have to do is connect it. So let's get going on that. Okay, I wanted to show you guys a couple things here. I need to connect some wiring, right? I have a couple options. My preferred choice are wire nuts, but I don't have any of the tiny wire nuts, which would be the little gray ones. I have bigger ones, yellow, the reds. I have bigger ones for bigger gauge wire. These are called Wagyu connectors. You got 6-way Wagyu connectors, and I'll tell you the pros and cons of these things. Having worked in RVs, and I watch a lot of videos from RV manufacturers, and they like to use these in there. But what happens is these usually are not rated for higher appliance power driven appliances. So the problem with using these in an RV, you can, as long as you're plugging in low voltage appliances. But if you're plugging in like space heaters, and that's very common, these are not designed to carry the load of what a heat producing appliance is going to draw. And usually these will catch fire. These are made of plastic. These are the weakest part of any electrical connection typically, so I like to stay away from these. Now these would work in this application because I'm not using an appliance that's going to draw a lot of power, so these would be fine. The problem with these two is they don't work very well on stranded wire. So this is what they call stranded wire. Means, you know, it's just smaller pieces of wire stranded together and you have to twist them. This is really good for solid wire. If you got solid copper wire that you're running and you just push connect these are great because they speed up the process and they're fast. And as long as you see the wire come into the glass, you're good. The problem with the stranded wire is when you put the two together and then you start to push them in, they don't want to push in. They want to bundle. They want to push up into a knot, and then they never touch this little silver connector piece. If it doesn't touch the metal, then it doesn't connect. And so you don't get a real good connection with these unless you're using solid wire. But I just wanted to point these out because, yeah, I've got a whole bunch of them. This is for splicing two wires together, and they're pretty good. But again, you're compromised by the integrity of the amount of wattage that you can put through these. So as long as you're dealing with cars or, you know, a lot of car wire, though, is stranded wire. So this stuff doesn't work very well. I've got a whole bunch of these, and the reason being is because I end up in a job and I can't use them or don't want to use them. And I don't have any of the small wire nuts. So what I'm going to do, and I just wanted to show you this, I have an assortment of Wagyu connectors. I got more under there, and I rarely use them. I've used them a little bit, but not too much. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to run these together, twist them, because they do twist well together when they're stranded. Use the electrical tape to wrap them, usually 1 to 2 wraps. And then once I do that, I love this stuff. This stuff's great, especially in a wet climate. This is called heat shrink. And what I'm going to use it for is basically to keep the tape together, and it'll press the wire together and hold it like this, like I'm doing with my fist. So you run 2 wires. You slide this heat shrink on. I'm going to explain this for those of you that are not familiar with heat shrink. I love heat shrink, especially in a car. If you're doing car connections in like a radio or something, or a place where your connections might get wet, this is what these are for. These are perfect. Now I'm going to cut this into 3 pieces because I don't need pieces this long, but I just want to demonstrate this. So pretend I've got another wire coming in here. I connect them. I run the heat shrink down over it until it's in the middle, right? And then you get like either a blowtorch that's pretty hot. You can just use the little clicker lighters. I'm just going to use one of those or a Bic lighter and heat this up. And the heat shrink will literally shrink this, and it will press against the wire and give you a good firm hold. That's what I'm using it for. It's not so much for waterproofing in this instance. It's to hold the wire together. And I'm going to use the tape first, and then I'm going to put this on, and then I'm going to shrink it. So you got a real good solid connection. No chance of this wire fraying out of here and making contact with another wire in the junction box. But I just wanted to show you the various options that you have when connecting wire. Now, stranded wire, usually your lower gauge wires like this, 12, 14 gauge, typically come stranded. And so the Wagyu connectors, I don't know. I don't recommend the Wagyu connectors. And other RV maintenance techs videos that I watch, they hate them. They will replace them in trailers. They'll take them all out and they'll put all new connectors in. They like the butt connectors, and they like the twist-on wire caps, the old-fashioned ones. They work the best. Just saying, sometimes new technology is not always the best. What it is for manufacturers is that these are quicker and they save time. and they may save money because you can get a bunch of these really cheap, but you don't get as good a connection. But sometimes manufacturers are not concerned about that. But we're not in that, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. But I wanted to show you how I'm doing these connections. So I have it hung up there, and I got the wires out. I got the kind of hard to see in this lighting. Let's see. There you go. So I got the cowling. I haven't pushed the cowling up over the wires yet because I want to make the connection first and then tuck the wires in the cowling, then put the cowling up, and then I'll run them through my the channel through the wiring. So that's what we're doing. So I'm just connecting these together, and I just wanted to share a little piece about wire connections. Okay, I wanted to show you one of my connections. I've done the white wire here. The wire that I'm adding is a little thicker than the wire that came on the appliance, and that's good because that's what you want. So I used electrical tape and went around the single connection, and then I brought the wires together and wrapped another wrap around all 3 wires and did a back loop. The reason I really did the back loop was to strengthen the connection so I could pull against it. And then I ran the heat shrink down the wire and put it around. And you can see what a nice clean finish and a nice tight connection that is. I just wanted to show that how that works. I used the electrical tape and then I slid down the heat shrink over it. And then I heated it and then it shrinks the wire down tight together. So I'll do all 3 wires the same way. Okay, I got some things to discuss on this ceiling fan. It was about a 3 or 4 day delay. This was the fan that was up there originally when we first started this video. This fan does not work. I did speak to the seller. This was a marketplace purchase, and great people here in Tennessee. These were no exception. They refunded my money back. Appreciate that. $60, got it back. They said keep the fan. If we got it working, we could donate it, or let him know and pay him back. And that's absolutely what I would do. If I was able to get this fan working, I would just give him the money back. I was not able to get it working. I tried programming, syncing the remote, and none of that worked. I really don't understand why it doesn't work because it's a brand new fan. It just had been installed and then taken down and put in a box. Now the fan didn't match the box it came in, but the fan still looks brand new. So I am thinking if there's something wrong with this fan, it either got installed incorrectly and got shorted out, but both the light and the fan both not working. I don't know what it is. I really don't. I've tried different things and I just can't. I even hot wired the direct to power and I couldn't get the fan or light to work. So basically it's a fan for parts. So what I did is I took that money and found another fan. Now I do like this one better. I like the decor better. I like the color better. I think it matches the room better. And the outside ring light and the center light were both supposed to work, but they don't work. So it doesn't matter how pretty the fan is. If it doesn't work, it's not good. So I got another fan on Marketplace, same price. In fact, the guy was asking $110 for this fan, and I offered him $60, and he took it. So picked it up today, got it installed today, and it does work. So yay! The fan's a little different. I think it casts more light, so that's a good thing. I think a darker fan in here would look better. But let me know what you think. Do you think the lighted fan? We'll call that the lighted fan. And this is supposed to be a lighted fan. Do you like the lighted fan or the darker fan? Lighted fan, darker fan. Well, here's what we got. So this fan has a remote. It does have the fan will turn in both directions. I'm turning the fan on here now. There's 6 settings. I think it does very well. It's meant to blow down on the bed, to keep you cool. So I tried it out. It works great. All 6 speeds work. It works in reverse. The light works. It even dims. The light will even have a low setting. So there's the low setting. And then here's the high setting. So, great fan, I think. Now, the electric wiring, did we finish talking about that? I don't even remember. I'm going to get something to cover that little joint there where you can see the wires kind of colored through. I might just hit it with some brown paint. Same thing here. Well, it's not so bad there. And then it goes up over the beam and behind the beam, and then a little turn there. You can see the colored wires, but barely. And I brought it down here and right here. I'll probably find a way to color that white wire anyway. And then it is plugged into the closet. So I just put a plug on it. So the left one is the lights I had installed earlier, which are these lights. And this plug here is the fan. And I just put it on a three-way. Now normally you don't want to have a whole bunch of wires on an extension doing this kind of thing. But these are all very low voltage lights. I think this fan and light together, I don't think it draws over 3 amps or 6 amps. I can't remember in all the reading I've done. And these lights don't draw anything more than 2 or 3 amps. So we're talking about very low voltage here. And it's not always that they're going to be on at the same time. In fact, if this light is on, it's probably nighttime and the light is off. So it's usually going to be the light or the fan. Not very often are you going to have them both on. I just have them on now for demonstration purposes. I don't know how I'm going to do this because when I flip the switch on the wall, it turns everything off. When I flip the switch on the wall, it turns everything on. So I haven't really figured that out yet. But easy to do. We can figure out how we want things to run in here. I may move these lights to somewhere else. The only problem with that is then I lose the closet light because the closet light is right there. But I don't know. I have to think about that. I have to weigh out the options and see what we want to do here. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this DIY project on Shoreline Driveway. Thank you for joining me. And it was an easy install other than the fan didn't work. This fan was much easier to put up than the other one. The shroud that covers the wires it does have screws in the top, but the bottom part is magnetic. So that made it very easy instead of trying to hassle with these little tiny screws. But both fans were easy. This one was easier. So let me know what you think. You like the lighted fan better? Or would you have liked the darker fan better? This side. I like the style of this one better. But it doesn't work, so we had to go with something else. So, but I like it. I can get used to it. It'll work. Sounds good. Let me know what you think in the comments. Which light do you like? We'll check you later. Have a good one. See you next time. Bye.